Covering news where you live. This is 5 News.
Well, thank you for joining us here for the latest news and weather where you live. I'm Joe Ellison. Officers in Prairie Grove are investigating the death of a man after reports of shots being fired. Now, this all happened on Thursday night around 10:30. Officers there in Prairie Grove say they responded to reports of gunfire in the 1000 block of Sundowner Ranch Avenue. They say there is no additional threat to the public at this time, but we are learning more about the victim. They say he's 40-year-old Cedric King. They say he lost his life in this incident. Officers also saying that they discovered that the suspected shooter fled in a vehicle that crashed a few blocks away. The 39-year-old suspect, C.C. Dryce Pool, then fled on foot and was arrested. He is being held at the Washington County Detention Center. Now stay with 5 News and 5newsonline.com as we learn more about this investigation. And before we get to other news, let's get a check of the weather with meteorologist Zach Scott. And Zach, on this Friday, we have maybe some storms that we're watching out for.
Yeah, Joe, we're watching around some mid, late morning, early afternoon rain come in. Atmosphere is going to try to recover. And if it can do that, we're going to have a chance for at least a few strong to severe storms to mix in, especially for areas near and south of the Boston Mountains. We're going to get some more of an unstable atmosphere, which we don't have to start the day. That's going to try to build in as we go through the afternoon and evening hours, and that's going to be ahead of a cold front. We're starting the day with the cold front still well off towards the west, and again, we've got a round of rain that's moving through to start the day. Once this front comes in, we're going to have to see, can the atmosphere recover? If it doesn't recover, the severe threat's going to shift off towards the south. We need to watch it either way. We have that chance. Primary threats, wind gusts up to 60, 70 miles per hour, small hail up to the size of $50. And then secondary threat, a lower threat, but an isolated tornado cannot be completely ruled out. Again, looking at future track radar, we're tracking that round of rain moving through mid, late morning, early afternoon hours. Showers out in Oklahoma. They're weakening as they come through, but still some rumbles of thunder. A few gusty winds are possible. There you go. A little bit of a break, some breaks of sunshine try to mix in. Instability is going to try to increase. If these thunderstorms, you see those bright colors going there, if those stronger updrafts can get going today, plenty of energy where they could tap into that and produce, again, some pockets of small hail to $50 size gusty winds and possibly an isolated tornado. Future track radar shows that the rain will continue to move out of here. By the evening hours, severe threat should be to the southeast of us. We'll look for a few lingering showers overnight, but drier air starts to come in. Joe?
All right. Thanks so much, Zach, for that. All right. Now let's get you caught up with some stories that you might have missed this week. The city of Fayetteville recalling an ordinance it passed a year ago that banned pet stores from selling dogs and cats. Now, this all comes after a lawsuit that was filed right after that ordinance was passed. 5 News reporter Micah Wilson has more on the next steps.
Yeah, it took a preliminary injunction, a lawsuit, and a newly passed state law for this ordinance to officially be shut down, even though it never actually went into effect.
To get as far as we did, and I'm sorry it's all getting done so quickly, and at the end of the day, really it's about the welfare of the animals, and so that's really what we care about.
Just 2 months shy of a year, the city of Fayetteville amended its own ordinance.
The city of Fayetteville has no choice but to amend Section 9204C to conform with the newly passed Act 730 of 2023. Because after Act 730 was passed, it changed the law.
That act says a local government, meaning cities, can no longer pass rules to ban pet stores from getting or selling animals from kennels or breeders.
For the last 32 years, retail pet stores have been regulated by the state of Arkansas rather than the local level. That's never been a problem until last year.
Last July, the Fayetteville City Council passed an ordinance that bans the retail sale of dogs and cats unless they come from a shelter or rescue center.
To prohibit pet stores in Fayetteville from selling puppies produced by mass breeding operations that treat dogs like livestock rather than pets.
Fayetteville's new ordinance reads,
quote, a retail pet store shall only be allowed to sell a puppy or kitten if it has been acquired from a cattery, kennel, or dealer as defined in 7 U.S.C. Section 2132.
And Act 730 does not go into effect until July, but City Attorney Kit Williams said the city should get a head start on replacing its current ordinance. I also did reach out to Petland Fayetteville's attorney. However, he told me the company will not comment because of the current lawsuit in Fayetteville. Covering news where you live, Michael Wilson, 5 News.
All right, thanks so much, Micah. And in other news, the investigation will continue into what caused a plane crash in southern Washington County. Investigators searched for hours in thick and rugged terrain in the Boston Mountains this week, eventually finding that wreckage. One man on board, identified as the pilot, was pronounced dead. Authorities from several Northwest Arkansas agencies searched that area for nearly 3 hours. Now, they eventually found the wreckage aircraft just north of Ferry Road. That's in between I-49 and Highway 71. Here's Micah Wilson once again with the full story.
Johnny like this, I don't know, it's a real blow.
It's always hard to say goodbye to a childhood friend, but to say goodbye to someone like Johnny Morgan is unbelievably tough.
He was a great leader. He just cared and loved Oxford and Ole Miss so much.
Morgan was a Mississippi State Senator for 8 years, according to Oxford, Mississippi's mayor. But to John Cofield, Johnny was just a friend.
Johnny was very gregarious and outgoing and could tell the funniest stories you ever heard, and he had a way of just captivating you.
Wednesday, Johnny was coming from Mississippi when his plane crashed near the Boston Mountains.
Someone called and said they thought what they heard was a plane crashing. They heard the plane sputter and then a loud bang.
I spoke with one neighbor who heard the crash. He says he didn't think much of it and thought it came from the highway. 5 helicopters, including Black Hawks and several first responders, searched the area for the plane, which could carry 8 to 10 people. A little after 3:30, the search came to an end.
There's only one soul on board, which will be the pilot.
First responders found wreckage from the plane and later confirmed 76-year-old Johnny Morgan died.
Possibly. Oh, it's very sad. The person perished in the crash, so obviously very sad.
And for those in Oxford, Mississippi, the news of the Ole Miss fan and Oxford native's death is hard to bear.
Both those, the town and the institution, are the lesser for Johnny's death, and we mourned for a long time.
In Washington County, covering news where you live, Michael Wilson, 5 News.
All right, thanks so much, Micah. Well, those are some of the stories you might have missed this week. I'm Joe Ellison. We'll hope you have a great weekend.